Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Yeah, Daniel, don't worry about it anymore. Nicole can handle these sort of situations well enough. Gloria comforted him. Daniel, who could not even muster a smile, looked toward the door. It's just that in the future, our relationship with them will be over. Sean knew exactly what his father was concerned about. He stepped forward, and in a solemn tone of voice he said, "It's okay. Since they've never cared about us anyway, from now onwards, there's no need for us to be associated with them." Daniel looked at Sean and thought, my eldest son has always been calm and considerate of every situation. Perhaps what he said was right. Maybe I really have done nothing wrong. That's right. We don't need to take any orders from anyone anymore. We were wronged for the longest time ever. Daniel's eyes became firm. In the future, I will not ever let my wife and children be looked down upon again. If we had not defended ourselves the way we did, it would be a waste for all the effort Nicole has put in, he concluded. Yes, we must also protect our little sister from being picked on. Sean said, for the sake of Nicole, our family has to support ourselves, and we won't let others push us around like that anymore. At the corner of the stairs, Nicole was looking at her parents and brothers who had made up their minds, the corner of her mouth lifting slightly. It seems that I no longer need to worry about our family, Nicole thought, relieved as she went straight back to her room to get some rest. School was about to start, and so, she decided to relax for the next few days. Nicole then gave Mrs. Wallace Sr. a call, telling her that she would not be back until school started before getting a good night's sleep. Until she received news from Carl, she ought to enjoy this peaceful time. In a blink of an eye, a week had passed. Things were booming everywhere in the Riddle household, and that was because of Sean. After noticing him, many company leaders had hoped to cooperate with the Riddle family, and even Steve's financial company had attracted a substantial amount of attention. Sean had gotten so busy that Mr. Riddle Sr. had to personally call Daniel to get him back to work at the office. Initially, Daniel only had some shares in the company, and had never had any real power in the company. He occasionally went to the company headquarters to get his dividends and attend shareholders' meetings. He did not have any substantive businesses or projects that he had to handle before. But now that Sean was swarmed with work, Mr. Riddle Sr. offered him a position similar to Dylan's as the vice president. Though he held the position of a vice president, he would discuss business with Sean every other day, and was content to be one of the top leaders of the company. You must know that Dad and Sean are the busiest people at the company right now. Nobody goes to Dylan's office anymore. Steve gossiped to his brothers and Nicole before their meal. Then, Spencer and Samuel looked at each other and smiled. I really wish to see the looks on our uncles' faces. I bet they're all green with envy. Maybe they've turned purple. Samuel sneered mercilessly. At this moment, Daniel and Sean came downstairs to see the two brothers laughing while Stanley was eating and reading at the same time, but not before they caught each other's eyes. Stanley, Daniel said after he had sat down. Stanley placed his book down and glanced at Daniel. What's up, Dad? Daniel looked at Sean before saying, our company is overly packed right now and you're in your second semester of junior year. You'll begin your internship during your senior year, so I would like to ask you if you'd like to start your internship this semester. Me? Intern? But where? Stanley was stunned. Nicole watched as the usually calm and composed Stanley became confused. Of course you can. You can do it in our family's company. Stanley, you're the president of the student council. Has your brain gone haywire after the break? Stanley's eyes widened immediately. You're allowing me to be an intern at the company? Before this, only Sean was allowed to be an intern at the company by Mr. Riddle Sr. Even Daniel was an insignificant shareholder, and thus, Stanley had never imagined that he would be able to work at the Riddle family's company. Grandpa handpicked me to join him at the company? Stanley was a little surprised, his eyes filled with disbelief. Stanley, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and agree to it. Samuel pushed him. It was only then Stanley came back to his senses. Can I really work at the company? Daniel smiled. Sean is busy with a number of things. After talking to your grandpa, he has promised to let you join the company. Gloria was overjoyed when she heard that Stanley was also allowed to join the company. Really? That's really great. You have my full support. With the support of his mother, Stanley nodded. I will go. As long as Sean needs me, I'll go. Sean smiled. Grandpa didn't ask you to help me out. Instead, he has asked you to be in charge of several projects, as project manager. You get to be the manager as soon as you join the company? Spencer and Samuel asked, becoming envious right away. This is not a job for an intern. It looks no different than a formal job at my family's company, Stanley thought. Stanley, who has always been calm, was filled with surprise. Really? Unable to help himself, Steve patted Stanley on the shoulder. Of course. As of now, the family is responsible for taking on important projects, and they've handpicked Sean and Daniel to be in charge of it. They're too busy and said that they'll leave it to their sons. If we don't allow you to go, who else will be willing to take your place? Damien and Dylan had long been excluded from participating in anything, barring the few projects they had originally secured. Aside from that, no one cared about what went on with them. Both Damien and Dylan watched as these profitable projects fell into the hands of Daniel and his two sons, Sean and Stanley. Other than staring angrily at the latter every now and again, they could not do anything about it, as their business partners had discovered that Nicole was Daniel's biological daughter. I know, I'll definitely not let you down. Stanley placed his book down with an unwavering expression on his face. Sean smiled. Don't sweat it. Our partners have a pretty good view of us, so the only thing you really need to pay attention at is to safeguard our efforts from certain people. Although Sean did not mention who these people were, the entire family instantly knew who he was mentioning. Daniel, who would not allow Sean to explain thoroughly, then turned to look at Nicole. Although I feel that it's still quite early, but... Daniel interrupted his thoughts and said, Nicole, the annual meeting of the company and our partners will be held next week. Your grandpa has hosted it for many years, and this time, he hopes that you will be able to attend it and host it alongside him. Nicole paused while eating breakfast, for she did not expect that it would come so soon. Many people have flocked over to do business with us, and it was more or less due to me being the bearer of the fire crest. Grandpa knows well enough that I am still a high school student who just became of age. So, even if he urges me to keep me from showing up, there will always be times when my attendance is needed to support the event, she surmised. All right, but school starts next Monday. I don't know what the school has planned yet, Nicole replied. Though studying was not a challenge for Nicole, there should be many things to be busy with at the beginning of the school year as soon as it started. I'm the president of the student council, and I will explain the situation to Mr. Ellison. That way, you'll be able to come to the event without any worries, Stanley said. Oh, Nicole uttered, noticing that all of her brothers were fully supportive of her. Well then, how could I not go? Spencer and Samuel both looked on in envy. Among all of the siblings, they were the only ones who had zero involvement in the company. I really wish that I could enter junior and senior year as soon as possible so that I'll be able to intern at the company. Samuel and Spencer looked on with envy written all over their faces. Sean coughed lightly. It's not just Nicole. The two of you should also prepare yourselves. You're attending the annual meeting together with her too. Ha! Samuel pointed to himself in surprise. I'm also included? Spencer was overjoyed. Thank you, Sean. You should thank your Nicole, Steve chuckled. If it was not for Nicole, our uncles would still be in the limelight, and our family wouldn't be able to participate. Steve's sentence made everyone emotional, as it was true that their family had been invisible to Mr. Riddle Sr. throughout the years, during which they would always be forgotten and excluded from the annual meetings. Daniel would sometimes hear the news and bring Gloria with him to participate, and even then, they were not allowed to use their identity as the Riddles. However, this time around, all of the staff members were permitted to take part in it, which was an honorable thing to do. This year's annual meeting will definitely be attracting a lot of attention, Spencer smiled gleefully. Samuel slyly joined in, and a few people are probably going to be very angry. Hurry up and eat. Gloria looked at her sons, not want them to gloat too much. The family continued eating in silence, with the meal being so scrumptious that it left everyone in a good mood. They were almost done with breakfast, until their house butler walked in. "Sir, madam." Alfred glanced at Nicole, seemingly hesitant to speak. Daniel and Gloria then looked at each other and asked, "What's wrong, Alfred?" The house butler was still feeling a little too embarrassed to speak up. However, he took a deep breath and told them the truth nonetheless. "Sir, madam, Nora is here." "Nora?" Steve murmured, suspicious of her. In truth, there had been no news pertaining to Nora as of recent, and the entire Riddle family had forgotten about her existence entirely. Steve subconsciously glanced at Nicole, surprised to see that she was not reacting at all. Instead, she continued to drink her milk gracefully. Noticing that Nicole was not bothered by it either, Daniel proceeded to ask their house butler, "Did she say anything?" Gloria felt hesitant to ask Nora to come in after seeing Daniel's reaction. After all, the last time Nora was at the Riddle residence, her parents were hospitalized. Her presence here had caused much friction in their relationship. Ever since then, Nicole had felt that she should keep a distance from her parents so that they could live in peace. Their house butler sighed and said, Miss Nora had brought her luggage with her. She said that her parents had drowned while they were abroad, and that now, she'll be homeless. What? Gloria's heart sank upon hearing that Nora's parents had suddenly passed away. How did this happen? Nora was raised by Gloria and Daniel for so many years. Anyone who heard the news would feel sorry that she had to go through such misfortune, especially if the person in question was one they had deeply cherished. Nicole's face became sullen. A while ago, I heard that Nora had traveled abroad with her classmates, but I didn't hear anything about her bringing her parents with her. Why would she suddenly come back here and say that her parents had passed away? Daniel. It's Nora. We can't just turn a blind eye to this sort of situation. Gloria's compassionate nature prompted her to be concerned about the situation, but she still asked for Daniel's opinion nonetheless. However, it was then that Daniel glanced at Nicole's direction, almost as though he wanted to know what she wanted to do. Nicole returned her father's glance, and with a cool smile she said, "We've got a guest. We can't let them stand outside for too long, especially if they're homeless. If we keep them out with our front door, people might think that the Riddle family are a bunch of cold-blooded and ruthless people." Nora had chosen the perfect time to visit the Riddle's residence. Obviously, she had gotten wind of how influential they were now and would temporarily take her in as one of their own for the sake of their reputation. Though Daniel knew that even if this was the case, he would not want Gloria to pay too much attention to Nora. "Okay. Alfred, let Nora come in. This brat Nora has been gone for so long, and yet, she still finds a way to come back. It seems to me that it's impossible to stop her this time," he thought. Sean looked at Nicole remorsefully, knowing that due to their family's situation, they should not allow any bad rumors to spread. All they could do now was throw Nicole under the bus for the time being and think about how to deal with Nora later. Soon, the house butler brought Nora in. Godmother. As soon as Nora walked in, her eyes were bloodshot. Nora. Though Gloria was not close with Nora, seeing her distraught and in such a mess was enough to prompt the Gloria to approach her. "Nora, what happened? How did your parents?" The instant Gloria mentioned her parents, Nora's face immediately turned pale, after which she became dizzy and fainted in Gloria's arms. "Nora!" Gloria exclaimed, seeing this. Spencer quickly helped Gloria as they hoisted Nora up. "What's wrong, Nora?" Samuel looked at Nora in surprise. Spencer sighed and thought, because she is no longer a part of this family, she has no right to come back here. Then again, we ought to have some compassion, as she used to be a part of the family. "Perhaps she's too heartbroken," Spencer said in a low voice. At that moment, Nicole secretly smiled and feigned surprise. "I see that she isn't looking too well. I think it's because she has been too stricken by grief recently and became dizzy just moments ago." Nora did not expect Nicole to assist her in her act, so she nodded vigorously. "Maybe I just haven't been eating and resting right, which is why I'm feeling a little weak." However, before Nora could finish her sentence, Nicole deliberately said, "It's okay, I'll make you feel a little better with my needle techniques. Otherwise, you'll faint again, and we'll have to send you to the hospital." After she had spoken, Nicole got up and took her set of needles from the small bag on the side of her thigh. Then, Samuel chimed in, "Yeah, Nicole is an expert when it comes to her needle techniques. Come now, Nora. Take a seat and let Nicole show you." "Nay, needle technique?" Nora's face blanched at once. How long has it been since I left the riddles, and when did she even learn these needle techniques? She panicked. Nora watched as Nicole inched closer, her face pale as sheet. "No, I'm afraid of needles. If I let her prick me with those needs, I might really need to go to the hospital," she thought. "Don't worry, Nora. Nicole really knows her needle technique well. Mr. Riddle Sr. was in a coma before, and it was Nicole who woke him up," Gloria said, aggravating Nora even more. "Does she really know how to do it? Can I still get away?" It was at that moment that she regretted pretending to be in the state she was in. Indeed, she had underestimated Nicole, who she did not know would have such a trick up her sleeve. Nora cursed Nicole in her heart, as she forced herself to say, "Really? Thank you then." Nicole mentally sneered, though the expression on her face displayed nothing but kindness. "You're welcome." Then, without such much as a warning, she jabbed a needle into Nora's hand. Feeling a stabbing, searing pain in her hand, Nora let out a scream at once. "Goodness, this hurts like hell." "Don't be so nervous. The tenser you are, the more it hurts. You'll feel better if you relax a little." Nicole raised her eyebrows, pretending to be calm. Only Nicole knew where the most painful points were, and she pierced them well enough to make Nora's hand numb. "Don't blame me for being cruel, since you have the guts to come back and disrupt our family's harmony by acting all pitiful. Another needle should do the trick just fine." Nicole continued to smile gently, seemingly harmless to everyone and everything but to Nora, who was in so much pain that she struggled to even breathe. No, there's no need to. One is enough," Nora pleaded. "One more needle, and she definitely will pass out for sure." Nicole thought. "Nora, please. Be a good girl." Gloria frowned and looked at Nora, he genuinely concerned about her. She then took Nora's hand and gave it to Nicole. "Here you go, Nicole." "Okay." Nicole smiled, but it was then that Nora saw right through her smile and noticed the bone-chilling coldness. "With this needle, I might kill her," Nicole thought. Nora watched as Nicole raised the flashing cold needle glistening under the sun rays of the sun and decided that she could not take it anymore. She was so frightened to the point that she shoved Gloria away. "I don't want to be pricked anymore." Gloria staggered after she was pushed by Nora, and though Samuel was stunned, he was fortunately able to keep his mother supported just in time. "Mom? Are you okay?" Samuel frowned and glared at Nora. "What is she doing?" "Nicole is kind enough to help her feel better. She doesn't know how to be grateful, and she even pushed Mom, who cares about her the most right now." Then, the atmosphere in the room changed. Everyone in the family looked at Nora, feeling that she was going too far. Nicole's face turned frosty, as she stepped forward to keep Gloria supported. "Mom, are you okay?" Gloria has a soft nature and a very delicate body. Such a push must have startled her. And surely enough, Gloria's complexion turned pale. She held on to Nicole and said, "I'm fine. Just a little shocked." Instinctively, Nicole felt for Gloria's pulse, after which she gave her mother a prick with the needle. "It's okay, Mom. You were startled, and your heart is racing, so I gave you a needle. You'll be fine soon." Okay. Gloria stroked her chest and sat down again. Soon after, she began to feel much better. For a moment, everyone stared at Nora with hatred in their eyes. "Nora, our mom cares so much about you. How could you push her like that?" Stanley lost his temper. It was only then that Nora realized her actions had caused a domino effect, which had caused an outrage within the family. Her heart wrenched in pain. "Before this, I was the princess of this family. No matter what I did, my brothers would always forgive me. But now? I accidentally pushed her and everyone is glaring at me with such hatred." Seeing this, Nora could not help but to shoot Nicole a glare. "It was her who had taken all my brother's love from me. She is the reason as to why they have started to treat me like this." However, Knowing that she no longer had the right to burst out in anger, she could only whimper and force a tear out from her eyes. "I'm sorry. I'm really fine now. I got too nervous a moment ago, godmother. I'm truly sorry." Pathetically, Nora knelt in front of Gloria, and in a low voice, she said, "It's my fault. I know that I am no longer a part of the Riddle family, but I really have nowhere else to go, no home to return to. I know that in this world, there's only one person who still cares for me. And it's you, my godmother." If these words were uttered long ago, Gloria would have given in to Nora easily. However, that shove had made her come back to her senses, and while she said that she was not feeling well, her strength did not seem to have waned. Before this, she had always taken their relationship into consideration and had taken care of Nora. Gloria even agreed to let Nora stay at her place the last time the latter asked. Later, however, Daniel and Nicole had told Gloria that Nora's parents had already been discharged a long time ago. It was at that moment that the Gloria realized that the current Nora was not the same person as before. Gloria knew that she had made the wrong choice the last time. And now, she could not sideline Nicole for Nora anymore. With that in mind, Gloria bit her lips and tried her best to remain rational. "Nora, I really do pity you and your parents' situation. How about you take a rest for a while as I speak to your dad on what we can do to help you?" Hearing that, Nora was stunned. It had taken her so much to get rid of those two leeches and return to Gloria's side, and Nora had expected Gloria to back her up like she had done before. Unexpectedly, however, Gloria's attitude had already turned cold in just a short span of time. What a mean witch Nicole is. What power does she possess that has made these people who had been living with me over the past decade side with her? She fumed. "Are you not worried about me anymore, Godmom?" Nora pinched her thigh, and tears began to flow from her bloodshot eyes. "I really have nowhere to go now. My parents' bodies are still nowhere to be found. I don't even know where else I could go now." Seeing that Nora was still putting on a show, Nicole snorted coldly in her heart. As it stood, everyone in the family already knew that Nora was acting. They could not help but wonder if she really thought that her acting skills were still good. However, Gloria was able to remain calm and logical, and that was what Nora had never expected. Seeing that Gloria was not willing to take her in, Nicole deliberately said in a questioning tone, "Your parents' bodies are nowhere to be found. In that case, why did you rush here? Those who don't know might think that you're dying to return to the Riddle family." That sentence caused everyone present to feel the chillness in Nicole's words as they turned their gaze at her. Sean and Steve were the first few who had made that observation with a degree of suspicion. They looked at her as their eyes became frosty as well. Meanwhile, Stanley was the one who believed Nicole, as her analysis was quite logical. At that moment, even Samuel and Spencer fell silent. Nora never thought that Nicole would be this mean to her and expose her in front of everyone. Unfortunately, there truly was no way out for her. Elle finally escaped from those two by risking my life and becoming a murderer. No matter what happens, I must stay here at the Riddle family manor. Nora fumed. With that thought in mind, Nora immediately cried. "I did not. Nicole, how could you slander me like that? You are the precious daughter of the Riddle family. Everyone knows about this. No one cares about me. Even brother, mom, and dad cares a great deal about you. All I want is just a temporary place to stay in. Can't you be a little more merciful?" Although it seemed that Nora was crying her heart out, she had actually placed the blame on Nicole with just a few words, framing the entire situation as if Nicole was nursing a deep hatred for her. If this had happened long ago, Nora knew that the family would be guilt-stricken by those words. Even Samuel would stand up for her. But at that moment, Samuel stood in front of Nicole and said to Nora, "Nora, how could you say this about Nicole? If she really is merciless toward you, why would she even bother trying to relieve your pain?" "That's right, Nora. You don't have to watch what you eat, but you have to watch what you say," Samuel finished, his gaze sharp and piercing. It had been really annoying to see Nora sobbing and crying in the way she was, and in fact, the family were dumbfounded, unable to figure out when she had started behaving like that. "You really should not have said that about Nicole," Sean said in a deep voice. As for Stanley and Spencer, they were just sitting there, staring at Nora coldly. They too thought that it was unfair for Nicole. Seeing that all her brothers that used to protect her were protecting and standing on Nicole's side instead, Nora's heart began brimming with jealousy. Why? It has only been a few days. Why are they treating me like I'm an enemy? I could still accept it if they were just ignoring me and shielding Nicole a little. But now, I don't even have the right to tell Nicole off. She seethed. It was at that moment that Nora realized that she no longer held the same degree of significance in the heart of the Riddle family. Even her very last defender, Gloria, could not protect her anymore. At that point, Nora was left completely perplexed. On the other hand, Nicole was extremely grateful to her brothers for stepping up. She seldom spoke to them about anything that had happened previously, but whenever someone targeted her, the brothers would protect her once they found out about it. The feeling of being protected by her brothers was exceedingly warm and touching. As Nicole came back to her senses, she decided that she was already tired of dealing with Nora. Dad, Nora is a riddle too. As she is facing a unique situation, let's arrange a hotel for her to stay in. That way, if anyone spreads any rumors, they'd know we have already shown kindness and mercy. Once the truth is out and if Nora needs any help, we'll think about it then. Hearing Nicole's stand, Daniel decided to let down his guard down. All right, we'll do as you say. Godpa. Nora yelled, having never thought that Nicole's words would carry some weight. Even Daniel listens to her now. That's not right. When she came back, I heard that the family had organized a banquet. Mr. Riddle Sr. has also begun to look highly upon Daniel and the family now. Shouldn't Daniel be carrying himself with greater dignity in the eyes of Mr. Riddle Sr.? Why are they still listening to Nicole? Nora wondered. Daniel frowned and looked at Nora. Nora, we will help you take care of the issue concerning your parents. But, this is the Riddle family. With your identity, it's not really suitable for you to stay here. For now, you should follow Alfred to the hotel and stay there. As for the rest, well, I must say, although we were your adoptive parents, we hope that you'll not call us Godmom or Godpa in public anymore. Just call us Aunt Gloria and Uncle Daniel. Daniel had wanted to say these words during Nora's previous stay. It was just that Nora had already left. Since Nora had returned on her own volition, she could not blame Daniel for being mean. Godpa. Nora's face turned pale. It was just a term of endearment, and yet, Daniel no longer allowed her to use it. Daniel. Gloria uttered, feeling that Daniel was being a little too cruel. It was then that Sean spoke. Mom, leave this to me. I'll see to it that Nora's parents are found in the flesh, regardless of whether they are dead or alive. Hearing those words, Nora subconsciously shivered. Why does Sean's presence feel so scary? She thought. After eyeing Nora's guilty look, Sean and Steve looked at each other. Then, Steve told Nora, don't worry. After all, we are your brothers. We'll be sure to conduct a thorough investigation. Who knows, your parents might still be alive. Don't you think so? Another doubt instantly came to mind after Daniel had heard Steve's comment. He looked at Nora with even greater hostility. Alfred, bring Nora to the hotel. Understood, the butler nodded and turned to Nora. Miss Nora, please follow me. Nora stared at the butler blankly and turned back to look at the rest of the household. Although she was reluctant to leave, she had no other choice upon noticing how heartless they were. She bit her lips and her eyes darkened. All right, thank you, Uncle Daniel and Aunt Gloria. I'll make a move. After that, she bowed her head, turned around and followed the butler. From her rear, she looked pathetic and weak. Deep down, Gloria could no longer take it anymore. Now that things had ended up as such, Gloria knew that it was all that she could do for Nora. As the whole chaos had finally ended, Daniel brought Sean and Steve to work, with Stanley also going to the headquarters to familiarize himself with the company. This left Gloria, Nicole, Samuel, and Spencer at home. After Nicole had accompanied Gloria back to her room for some rest, Nicole found Samuel and Spencer staring at her from the outside. Is there anything? Nicole asked in an inquiring tone of voice. Spencer pondered for a moment and said, Nicole, do you know anything about Nora? The The two boys had been staying with Nicole for quite some time. They knew that she would never behave the way she did today, voluntarily performing needle techniques for someone and allowing Nora to stay at the hotel at her expense. Previously, she would never care about Nora. Nicole flashed them a cheeky smile. It seems that the both of you have been growing up. Nicole had been through a lot, so her mental age was much greater as compared to her physical age. Usually, she would be the wiser one as compared to Spencer and Samuel. However, she noticed that Spencer and Samuel had been maturing well as of recent. The boys looked at each other and said, "You've grown so much, of course we should do the same ourselves too. That way, we can stand up for you in the future." When Nicole heard that Samuel and Spencer wanted to look out for her, she felt touched. She could tell that throughout all this time, the boys had become more caring toward her. They treated her well and knew how to pamper her. Perhaps she had been looking out for herself a little too much in the past, especially as she did not believe that any of her brothers could do much for her. All she wanted was to protect them on her own. But now, she knew that the Riddle brothers were not weak at all. In fact, they were just not given a chance to shine, as Daniel had always been rather forbearing. In Nicole's heart, she trusted Samuel and Spencer a little. So, she put on a more serious look as she said, "I think there's something fishy about the death of Nora's parents." Nicole's words shocked the two boys. Fishy? The both of them had an idea, but they did not dare to open that can of worms. After all, they were a family before this. The boys did not want Nora to become that person. "Let's wait for Sean to investigate and find the truth," she said. If this was before, Nicole would definitely have ventured out and investigated the issue on her own, but now, she was learning to trust her elder brothers. Understood. Spencer nodded slowly. Nicole glanced at her watch. Then, she looked up to the two boys and said, "School is reopening soon. I'm going out to buy some necessities. Do you guys want to follow?" Although bringing these handsome twins out would catch people's attention, Nicole could tell that they were getting bored. "Of course. There's nothing much for us to do today." "Me too. You can help us pick our outfits for the company's annual dinner too." "That's right. Dad had asked us to prepare since we've never joined. We don't have any suits in our wardrobes either." A smile crossed her face. "All right, let's go together then." Then, the three siblings headed out for shopping. Spencer and Samuel had never gone on a shopping session with women before. Throughout their journey, they slowed their gaits for fear of tiring Nicole. In the entire mall, everyone could see a pretty woman in between a pair of handsome twins, walking forward side by side. A lot of the ladies were secretly admiring them too. "Wow, such a handsome man." "Yeah, and they're twins too. That girl is really fortunate to hang out with two handsome men. I can't tell how they're related." Many were looking at Nicole with envy, and even though Nicole had heard them, she did not take their words to heart. After Nicole had bought a few of her usual stationeries and books, she went up to the counter to pay. However, Samuel was fighting to get the bill. "How could I allow a lady to pay?" "That's right." Spencer smiled, and in a cheeky move, left the items that he wanted on the counter. "Samuel, pay for all of these too." Samuel instantly turned pale. "Dude, go away. Where are your own allowances?" After he had spoken, he took Nicole's items and brought them to the cashier. "I will pay for these only." "What a miser." Spencer glared at Samuel and took his own wallet out. Then, he turned to Nicole and said, "He has always been this stingy. You're the only person he has been generous with." Samuel rolled his eyes. "Stop talking smack about me." Spencer chuckled. "I'm telling the truth. I think you're asking for trouble." Samuel turned around, about to hit Spencer after he was done paying. Spencer grabbed Nicole's shoulders and took cover behind her. "You better be careful. Don't hit Nicole." "You." Samuel muttered, having had it up to Spencer's tricks. However, this scene of the three siblings messing around was like a movie to the public's eye. It attracted the attention of several cashiers as they gathered to watch the three siblings. Indeed, the presence of two handsome men and a beautiful woman together was a rare sight for all of them. At that moment, Everyone began to imagine how Nicole must be feeling. Being surrounded by two handsome guys must have made her feel elated. However, Nicole's face was dark. Then, she gave Samuel a slight kick to his ankle. "Stop screwing around." Ouch. Samuel acted like his ankle was about to be bruised, even though she had only given him a light tap. "That's really painful. Please be gentler, little sis." Oh, she's actually the younger sister. Those who were watching from the sides observed, becoming even more envious of her. What a great life it was for her to have such handsome brothers. After the three of them then stepped out of the shop, with Samuel still grinning. As they were walking, they suddenly heard someone calling out to Nicole. "Nicole." The twins turned around and saw a tall man rushing toward them before running up to Nicole. "Nicole, it's been a while." Seeing that the man was approaching her, Samuel quickly raised his hand and grabbed onto the man's face. He was keeping the man at a distance of about 3 feet away. Bradley could not react in time to push his hand away. His body was still rushing forward while Samuel's hand was pushing against his face. The entire scene was hilarious. "Who are you?" Samuel raised his eyebrows and stared at Bradley. Bradley never thought that Nicole would be hanging out with a famous figure in the basketball field. He immediately straightened himself. "Samuel? You're our senior, Samuel. You know me." Samuel frowned. Bradley's face had shock written all over it. Who wouldn't know him? "I'm not the only one. All of the Riddle boys are outstanding on their own merits in school. So, it's impossible that others wouldn't know them." "Bradley Robertson, why are you running?" At that moment, 2 other people appeared behind Bradley, panting. Once Nicole had taken a closer look, she saw June and Lulu. "Lulu? June?" Nicole asked, having not seen them in a long while. As Nicole did not expect to see them here, she was quite taken aback. "Nicole." Lulu rushed over happily and hugged Nicole. "Long time no see." After Nicole had gotten engaged, they had never met throughout the entire holiday, and a few days ago, they were still talking about Nicole. "It really has been quite a while." Nicole happily smiled and returned Lulu's hug. June glanced at Samuel. Then, she greeted Nicole. "It truly has been some time since we last met. You look a lot prettier now. I heard that the Riddle family held a banquet a few days ago, but the Wallace family was not invited." June had actually heard about the banquet, but she did not know what the occasion was. Besides, the Wallace family was also a third-rate family, and while they could still attend some regular gatherings, they did not have the right to join the much grander ones. "The banquet was a last-minute decision by my grandpa. I didn't have enough time to send the invitations out," Nicole replied remorsefully. However, due to the situation at that time, it was better that June and the family had not attended. Nicole did not want too many people from her school to find out about the matter. Otherwise, June and the rest would distance themselves from her. "No worries." June smiled. At that point, Samuel finally recognized June and Lulu. It was only then that he withdrew his hand, which was still on Bradley's face. Then, Samuel finally remembered a few things about Bradley. "Oh, you're Nicole's classmate." Bradley rubbed his face in embarrassment. "Sorry for offending you." Samuel lifted his chin, and the look on his face signaled, "Of course you did." At that moment, Lulu saw the items in Nicole's hands and laughed. "You're here to buy stuff for the new semester too?" "June and I also came over together." Then, we bumped into Bradley. Bradley touched his nose. "This is the biggest mall in the city. Of course I would be here." Therefore, it was not really a coincidence as either. "Since we've bumped into each other, why don't we have lunch together?" Lulu suggested to Nicole as she noticed that June was sneaking glances at Samuel. Nicole smiled, as she understood Lulu's intention. "Sure, let's go together." Spencer and Samuel were not against it either, but it was then that Spencer said, "I know of a nice restaurant around here. Let's head over there." "Sure," Lulu said with a wide smile on her face. Spencer looked at Lulu. He could not help but return the smile, which prompted Lulu to blush. Naturally, Very few would be able to resist the charm of a handsome man's smile, and it was also normal for Lulu's heart to skip a beat. Then, she let out a cough and quickly regained composure. However, Nicole had noticed everything. Lulu blushing upon seeing Spencer. That is not the first time, isn't it? Soon after, they arrived at a French cuisine restaurant near the shopping mall, and once Spencer had entered, he pulled a chair for Nicole to sit on. "Nicole, have a seat." "Okay." Nicole nodded and sat down. Samuel immediately followed up by pouring a glass of water for Nicole. "Have some water." Watching how Nicole was being taken care of by her brothers, June and Lulu began to envy and admire Nicole. "It's great to have an elder brother," Lulu commented, fawning over Nicole to the point that she was about to drool. Unable to hold herself back, June said, "Yeah, Nicole has 5 elder brothers. I only have a sister at home. It's so annoying." Nicole smiled. This time around, she felt like all of her brothers were pampering her a little too much. Indeed, their gestures could be excessive at times. "Let's order." Nicole motioned Lulu and the rest to order first. Lulu and June were sharing one menu while Spencer and Samuel made Nicole read the menu on their side of the table. "Nicole, you'll love this. And this too."
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.